a lot of things will connect this evening or field so and your fans across the globe in Kwana be connected and the argument no be sakakra unlike the usual thing but before Champions League no mama Shadrack Ghana guy apology letter or the Beto IG no say or pa Michael Kenny teammate no show I've also given out the video to Shadrack say oh famra obo Michael Kenasum
yeah
or Tony one of the 4 are members of the Everton squad. Who ye 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players are. Me key premium ma Everton pa no. Now say Grealish ma ba mo ye juma. James Garner mo is also a very key members of the squad. But Idrissa has been one constant member of this lineup. Now Okaya oni indeed no more say omo biti a man for. Later na Omanfo say indeed no free Nigeria and Idrissa no free. So Everton they can't key figures no count. And as some see it was quite unfortunate. But so fortunate said David Moyes etwa so in your scoreline. And I know he also share video no. To be very honest, me pay Idrissa reaction no bako kra. But o share video na nkasa dia akwa recover ball no. And Ole no born and trying us and Ole back at the to Michael Keane but the agency no Michael Keane na fa ho keka bi anhim and the Bible 50-50 no and check cra and Bruno be fa ball na or slice it shorter nyamenko akakotonet naturally this was the situation or approach the catch and say omo na ni na ho no so focus and Michael Keane 19 no push no but the slap on Ankoye from Idrissa also born as no corner the referee had seen it and a flash a card in the man. But check it passing itself there. It was a good recovery. It was a good layoff. And the two of the man, Michael Keane.
Because I know starting year pa Ghana gay or starting year pa.
And yo, now let's talk about the other side. For a team like Everton to have record at the 12th minute. Number 12 soccer winning game no. As an away game. Yo, so 3 points we. It said you born by me inside the amount 9 points. Oh home.
Wow.
3 points way. Want to be found to home 3 points be home that record down. Key member of a squad no.
Old Trafford.
Now your position is so Idrissa Obono. About the anchor row. So o free honma. Now ya o shaba ko kra ho na be shane kana. Bono. Can you watch shall go earlier. Now person o protect go na. Idrissa honma no. Be say the fofra be taso ho. Now ya ho na ya pone Idrissa a free honma. Then they went ahead in winning the game. Good moment for David Moyes and Everton boys, you know. But the situation when I said the record by you know, a good is what Babe Patch or IG to Michael Keane, the teammates, coaching staff, and a fans, you know. To the Champions League. And you might be brave across football. No to the behind you say a question 1-2-1-2-1-2. Say a then our rivalry be started here. Now Chelsea crowd England, Barca or Spain. A dana a time be about you mean I entemsa. You about Champions League in but a free run you remember in a war and a Chelsea for fans I can must start you post and ra more the social media cool partner near so much cool wine near the game has its own way. Our fans efface treating and a new trust in Ubeche obi ho but me person me komachi na me connect history. At the time na Chelsea sorry no. Major clubs are ordering who to chew more. A year more dear, a man for so recognizes there's a young club will be all bar. One of those clubs, you know, a Barcelona. Now, Shadrack quickly, ma I didn't check. British sorry, Senator Dawson. Mama Chelsea hosting Barcelona 4-2, 2005. You know. Before that, Mama saw a lineup, and I mean, discussing the show. It was a lineup where not represented the future. That game, you know, members be a lineup with more. Na kwa say ene ya muhu mu say hu mu bio enye muhu mu bio no bia but this game no e bia na wie ye be buy be the return fixture no this is from 2005 wait afone na Peter check what ye sekwam the following year be share Ghana World Cup no na JT Carvalho partnership no to so by one of the best partnerships in the world game.
Yes,
JT Carvalho 4-5. To say they bought Ferdinand the Sana we must do the it has been part of the discussions in Chelsea discussions, Champions League discussions about sources. JT Carvalho partnership no grow be so. But I share this formation where Shadrack in ready. My Saman way if you UEFA for an official site. masama na transfer market deɛ no it had a variation sa 4-4-2 ya ohu no na sa so sa Good Johnson had just left Barcelona so o share transfer market deɛ no a ɛno nie 4-4-2 different types are on the back game no this is from Jose Mourinho the din egu ase hɔ no now on about 4-4-2 with another variation of 4-4-2 krona. And your 4-4-2 in a very good 4-2-3-1 4-3-3 4-4-2 it varies to the same 4-4-2 but with different rules. It will check the first one now. Shadrack and slice in the back quickly. Yeah, check the first 4-4-2 no. And the more standard 4-4-2 traditional no. Yeah. Me nu and China with the speed. Jaco and then Damien Def. Crofo me no more hard pa. And our Kesman and the Good Johnson in the final third. No about Benjamin Makelele, ne Frank Lampard. A box to box and then a sitter. A typical standard 4-4-2, but by virtue of the brilliance of J. Cole and then Damien Delphin, that formation it has Mr. Sam interior forwards, half eight. No about Frank Lampard, a typical 10 behind two strikers. No one Makelele sitting in a diamond formation, still 4-4-2 krona because you still maintain your two strikers up top. And the Shadrack can call transfer market how or no share the that is when you understand the variety. So what would the idea na 4-4-2 na asesana.
So 4-1-2-1-2.
And then
4-4-2 diamond.
Nice. No? Diamond. On said diamond of 4 different shapes. And we need we omukura basami. Na de me catch on say Carvalho JT partnership no na afei na ye wo no e sorry ba. The same Barca lineup no so no 2 players be in the future. Na mo ba be form a solid partnership. Shadrack and roll it ni enko. In that game na Deco on Koye. Not Gerard Lopez, both 6 for Barcelona at that time. Now Xavi was an 8 or started the game. But Shababi and Iniesta boy. Iniesta was part of the attack as a right winger. Babi and Lamy boy. What an Iniesta because Iniesta now and this role no Baba born later 2005, 5 years later in South Africa 2010. Now drift to go out wide because of that capability no. Not Saba inside. No tamo beko.
One of the Koshe go no.
One of the Koshe go no. So this was the lineup at Barcelona. So the cool game we now game we know it was basically for one player we when a Ronaldinho game winner by Barcelona Makelele catch Ronaldinho say sad dia na yeah you spend whole be nya time on no enye game we say more na game we say more omo we say on press conference as I said there no catch no
yeah
press catch say sad twice game no nya no Spain because had the on for 9 ko Shadrack me game no that game really defined Chelsea 4 goals. 4 goals. Good Johnson here. Na fe na mo ato no. Na game we no. Den tia me sa come achi ne say. E benya replica e wo na die num. 2005 Chelsea was carved out of a typical English approach. Okay. Not too much possession. Not too much short passes. Direct long passes. Passer 8 ya cry about 35-meter distance because emunye nti asa.
Wow.
Let's go quickly because Jose no was a typical Portuguese manager and buy English game no sa at all. So on say and na second ka kasa bo we foul.
Omo nyina so nche ahoden
near call direct nature of play. And no Jose the best set up the template the moment. Look at Barca defense no. On the deny no. So this was one moment for Ronaldinho to define something and wait na penalty so okay you say he ball no. The same move na Paulo Ferreira yibo we no. Argentina France. Omo de omo say yibo no be say so okay and then Mbappe boy be penalty omo GT Argentina no. And Barca had equalizer from this game but Chelsea at that time yaw na sorry England 2003 4-5 no. Na Jose ama boys we say asoro rough. There's some sort of animosity between these two clubs. A time be e wo mu. Antipathy be you near a drama between Chelsea and then Barca or Drobianim. So every time no aggression, tenacity, relentless. Every a defining fight biano in these 2 games. Now yaw there's also one game Bakubia so a troubling game from 2005 no Shadrack mra quickly no mra medrunanim 2012 was the last time one and at this point na Carvalho na JT a Lone Ranger when your new partner na Mikel Ababe shen fifi or 6 Makelele so Omajano Kwamanako. And in the final third, Nadije Droba, Abana lineup was so. Ebema Chelsea is so dominant. Ashley Cole, Ivanovic on the flanks. Yo, they bite, they tackle anybody who moves. Chelsea's had the lineup we say. A destroy Barcelona. Where Ramirez born now father.
Camp Nou, Diano.
The first leg, ended 1-0. Now, check a lineup where it was at the time and Pep Guardiola so brilliance, and because they still had Iniesta, Busquets, and Xavi, but in the final third, no more balance. Lazy Sanchez, Messi, Fabregas as a first line, and it was the fading days of Pep Guardiola. But I feel Yababe drew game so. Yo, two teams in defensive lapses. Ubia ni honma unestablished backline. So that story too when you bet me about butcher homo BSC. None of the teams has it. Now game where me catch us say the fading days of Pep Guardiola. She possession and a fat shot on target home. This was when Barca bet me about 90%, not Chelsea about 10%. Barcelona name for 28% as against 72. And out of the 72% of the ball, no, Barca had 6 on target. Just 1 on target from Chelsea. And then I go no 1-0. But I feel and then maybe Brasses lineup no. There are certain new partnerships. Apart from partnerships and combo, no, there are certain matchups. Matchups in being an old kukuyera, kukubo.
Yeah, or the way ma messenger ma lamino.
So partnerships in ane ebe function be near here. The Chelsea for ne hope kese bako pa mani beji. The partnership between James and then Casado. Another partnership and ebe function so well. Barca fans and beji pa. Baldi and then Rafinha. Combo sa line so left channel no so no e also Barca for anybody pa but so unfortunate and the game no mix the P square Palmer and then Pedri, 2 of the best 10s in the game currently. Say young playmakers Makoma 10 these 2 boys obobo mudi ndi aka but unfortunately game no be messy omo. I would want to talk to the lineups at 2 teams no probably on between the abamu and to start with home team no Chelsea lineup and probably in my opinion on between the key weakness falls within the defensive structure, no? And it happens between the 2 center backs. But they are actually nature over. And then Lewandowski beshe goa, it's 2 defenders in so. Lewandowski and Shai, it's no mumi new partnership. I'm understanding chemistry and then cohesion me new on be exhibit. But I say Casado and James there. Their first still, Mayfield still, no, they will show that class. But in my opinion, game no any method for Mayfield, and no beer.
Samu.
Any method for Mayfield. Game no be defense against attack. A be defense against attack. Whoever stays resolute.
One actually.
And no. And your method say one to be keep possession, one to be call for bite and aggression. No, that's not where the battle for. What would defense best stay astute, you know? You are in the game because both attacks by pick chances. Chelsea attack by pick chances a lot. Barca attack by pick a lot of chances. But whoever the defense will stay more resolute, you know, and there was a chance to stay in the game.
Well, I knew me that say 1-5 when we in quick. Nti Nutella no was it?
Me dey prediction try to.
Okay, all predicting.
Yeah, me dey so.
Okay.
3-2.
Who say game be 3-2.
Yeah.
E kwama why?
Who choose why?
Oh, say who now so prediction.
3-2 for Barca.
Okay. Well, see Lartey e dey ram e wo game no mo. Meba me za ho ansa na me the mic enso aba bewie. Meza.
Yes, ya ma yenchetifo. Na it's a big day, especially when it comes to the Champions League. Medi Kaka said this fixture has actually come too early for us. Abantem dodo. Fixture na abantem dodo. By our Yentia Simbika Kra. She every single story I tin we are se kind of books no munyina no. E won your mami no. 1. The hero at the end of the day. And number 2, the villain at the end of the day.
Okay.
But what really happens when it comes to football stories, you know, we don't usually remember the losers of the game. Inti yedin komobiani make reference to the Champions League, we speak about winners. Omo maje, the Osheye, the Okoha, Ekudim Kunim. But open one particular fixture. Yaw. Besi neya minu mienu edin komwe. Your true story now about it, Biana. We don't forget about the losers. Chelsea and the Barcelona games can be. Because basically, we still speak about 2009. And Kebebo didn't say Barcelona and a share, but we still remember Chelsea in that particular game. Say AC and Jinabe big ball shot my ball on net. We remember losers from these fixtures. The 4-2 year about Newton can once a year.
Okay, 4-2 no. Game Nankasa. Yeah.
We still remember the losers of that game. This is a storyline in the UEFA Champions League. In breathing only winners, but the breathing losers are at the end of the day no. Stories no mo de breye no ane de musronko. Yes, here we are pen. A be top players be so actually pen. And am a beautiful resource and last minute goals. From Fernando Torres to Andres Iniesta. From Lionel Messi in that 2005 game. To Guayo who is a Michael Essien. But I feel about Champions League final and over the Puskas Arena.
Run to me.
Free say about Champions League final na yembo bi wo hungry da. And yembo bi wo Puskas Arena ho na ankasa na yekobo final ni bi da. Now the history of the Champions League naturally say, yeah. There are only 4 teams. Anomotimia Stadium a yebo final for the first time in UEFA Champions League history in the last 20 years or magic. The last 20 years. 2014-2015. That was the first time I ever final at the Olympia Stadium or Berlin. Barcelona Nigeria. And Real Madrid back to back 2017 and 2018. Cardiff. As I recall the NSC Olimpijski Stadium of Ukraine. That was the first time the Millennium Stadium was hosting a Champions League final. That was the first time the NSC Olimpijski Stadium was hosting the Champions League final. And at Liverpool, the Wanda Metropolitano, that was the first time that stadium was hosting a Champions League final. Then the 2020-2021, Estadio de Dragao, that was the first time it hosted Champions League final. And at Chelsea Beji. And then 2 teams are here what Champions League final and stadium in the last 20 years I have been in history today say you bought new stadium when we na agye no emu mienu na ebo na nwumre afu we so final no so Puskas Arena
being order
na yaw Medika said the group stage will never determine who is going to win the Champions League. Nemum, the significance of this particular game transcends beyond the usual thought of say way just a group stage game because in the last 20 years you have final new stadium teams mako and 9 magia emu and the besiaka and anybody. So there is definitely going to be an eye and a project around it. Said no, this is a game I'm a sure. It gives me different confidence. For Barcelona, tonight could be a baptism of fire. And I say, Bia, the enemy go ascend a beba. Name fixture we say Muswa de Kodia Mammy Pen 170 say, a yinko phobi pie.
Run to me.
Yow, a bianco phobi so. You see, last season, we watched the Champions League and we saw the kind of quality of players be to sell Yamal more than Eddie. But yow, per stadium back pa we a Barcelona player up so you went the Pana Stamford Bridge come.
Okay.
Champions League no asase bi a ye bobo no wo so e kai wo na yi upie na bie wo so. Intina after the game at the Stadio di San Siro, everybody was talking about Lamine Yamal and Ballon d'Or. Because a bien so. The Stadio di Santiago di Bernabeu. Yababo we obi ase Lamine Yamal Yaman award say yenye ni say because a bien so. Nemum league and the Champions League is different. That is why the Champions League will always remain as a myth due to its ability to endorse. And another dream, Lamine Yamal le Bastan for bridge. It's a big responsibility for him to make a statement for himself, especially Abra. Wako PMO Ballon d'Or ayakoya awosa. Oh yeah, you as a we are seeing now. Na the second best player we are see. Number 2. These games are made for Chelsea defensive midfielders. Niti bubo di ne bo mo so hu. Ana hu de Michael Essien at some point in time. Then let's go back to what Ramirez did. We go back to what Frank Lampard did. This is a fixture made for Chelsea midfielders in the history of the game. And commanding in Aswa Bejina, Moises Caicedo so. Say yaw. Ye boni di na Caicedo ni mbobo. Caicedo ye cheke top 5 defensive midfielders so we are say Caicedo ho. We are having all of these conversations. Yaw, and 90 be say a type B Chelsea midfielders so the opportunity ni to make a name for himself. It is a miko game ni na. Your quality players on both sides. There's Rafinha. There's Lewandowski. Lamine Yamal Ebu, Frankie de Jong. Obiao. For Chelsea, there's Enzo Fernandez. There's Estevawa and non-numero Subetima Bonesu. There are a lot of key players in it. But I think for 2 players, personally, me and Metia, me made many Bakoshen and Anadri. Minim the Obakohe. But me, them many Bakohe. Moises Caicedo and Lamine Yamal, they'll be a bit an influence in this particular encounter. 7 points each. Bayaw. Barcelona in the last 8 games of Mabotia Chelsea, ewa away. Oma wini ba akope.
Run to me.
Oma wini ba akope si.
The last 7 games
to 8 games.
The last 8 games.
Barcelona. Our away against Chelsea, Oma wini ba akope. Oma wini ba akope si. And yaw, this is becoming an English dominant UEFA Champions League. Yafa she trim. Barcelona ne team ba kwa watimi a travel about England aba be show bi a wa hye ne ko Newcastle United obe hye no 2-1 na de ko ye no. Free oko no Liverpool crampo achi Real Madrid a hye ne by 1-0. Hwe the English teams ne the Spanish teams in the Champions League mo afi Atletico Madrid abeje ne de. Obia wo de obeje no de ko. Obia ba no abeje no de ko. I don't see these games say obi be hye na 2-0, 3-0. The entire makers asem ne say 18 Champions League games for Hansi Flick at Bayern Munich. 18 Champions League games for Hansi Flick as a Barcelona coach. Yaw, omu games in produce 0-0. And I be ma clean sheet see be we game no na Barcelona ansha na Bayern Munich kan hye bi. Ye be wie na bi abako bi wa hye. No ahye bi o. Na emom we mu mienu no last games of my boy in the Champions League no mienu pe na group stage games. First one the Chelsea winning 1-0. Second one omubo 2-2. But I think yen for be a henche ne be hye na anadua. Yaw, any Champions League ni baby and nam ne the kind of results at Chelsea enya in terms of favorable results against Barcelona wo fie na. Yaw. And anadua just Barcelona yen no be a bro so ansa no matimi akɔhye Chelsea wo. Because the numbers favor Chelsea. The statistics and everything favor Chelsea. the history of the competition between these two sides when it comes to Chelsea playing at home in the Champions League. It favor Chelsea. Yeah, anytime Chelsea be eliminated Barcelona in the free Champions League, man, Abasa be eliminated in Biano. Last time Andrew Iniesta be born a share. No man share Chelsea, see I share Chelsea 2-1. 1-1. Yeah, Fernando Torres. Eko pre boy you could say when you are the ball to net Victor Valdes. Yeah, you both born you Stamford Bridge now results net saying. Bridge hono. Basa ko muntimi mungu. If this game was at the new camp, yaw, kame concept fufro. Nemum, bona be pie Stamford Bridge no. Yaw, and they amana be krabe ama adwuma na ya den di amabasa fo no. Ese kano create down for na men say down for. Said the born said the city hu no. Sa na edi hu nkomo. Because yaw me no tie say me no tena se bo FIFA game na de bia me ba afie na hyem bebre na bia ma be show ba ko pa me ba ho no ma me ko kan churo bi say na so bi go ga churo bi say ma be show ana
okra de on hyem da on hyem nso da
ati de me chena se no but I'll be looking forward to Barcelona's high line against Chelsea's pacey attack. Yaw Pedro Neto, Garnacho, Bino Gittins se Jao Pedro ne be di ko ene the lap a best start here. I'm looking forward to how Barcelona will cope against Chelsea's pacey attack. At the same time, Marco Correa, any on one kasa niya, Ketwa, Lamine Yamal, Tosin Adara Biayu, any Fafana against Robert Lewandowski. If there's Marcus Rashford, when you're careful, so kakra because we're one player, big games.
So Chelsea
big games, he is there.
In the Champions League, Rashford on some modern bonnie.
Of course.
Because I'm about Newcastle.
Where you more be the Maumo. Big games like this, Marcus Rashford, and there's Rafinha on the bench too. But yeah, I think at Stamford Bridge, Sankeba player quality for quality. Yeah, I think Chelsea can match Barcelona. Barcelona too can match Chelsea, player for player. But everything points towards where the match is being played, which is the Stamford Bridge, which makes it a difficult ground for FC Barcelona. But when you big score margin, say be a bear 4-0, be an abibisa, no. I think I tone within the tone of Baby and Newton and Namne said 1 goal difference, 2 goal difference between these two teams. And yeah, I think say at Stamford Bridge, I'm tilting towards Chelsea. Stamford Bridge. A new camp di ankebi ankebe on komo fufuro. Chelsea so chere a big game so mota ehia mu no mota yire omo mi omo ni bibi. These two teams wants to make a point in the Champions League and the Champions League will be held at the Puskas Arena, a new place. 2 of them will need to make a statement. I was listening to an interview by Andres Iniesta on Guno Beshe Stamford Bridge, And at Chelsea football sometimes the New City scene you can't predict it. Because be now on no money say game near Dan Del Lewy. Then you have a picky ball on the back. On the original penalty box, and see traces a cross and a co near Pimba. And yet you're the baby. Then born out a bit messy. He transferred also only my drink crab on it. The thing just came bomb. Now, if you born, I could run it. And I think say Chelsea fans really feel sad than it. And it's one of the memorable nights at the Stamford Bridge. Because Chelsea carry Stamford Bridge for few things when it comes to their games against Barcelona. Back here, the Ronaldinho Beijing, or nice,